Hey, my fourth grade friends, Mrs. Real here. It's time to continue reading Jed and the Junkyard War. So last video, we started the story of Jed and the Junkyard War. We got through the first two chapters. We checked out the front flap. We read the excerpt on the back. We know that Jed is growing up in a house that seems normal to him, but is not normal by our regular standards. And on his 12th birthday, he wakes up and his parents are gone. He finds a letter that says they have been probably kidnapped, imprisoned, or killed. And there is a key and a watch and some other things and some directions they are giving him. Like, in this chest is a watch, put it on and never take it off ever. Not when you sleep, not when you bathe. This is our greatest gift to you. And there's the key that was on the table that unlocked the trunk where all this stuff was, is also the key that fits into the secret door at the back of the dishwasher. So he's supposed to go through here and hitch a ride and find his grandfather. So you left the junkyard as a baby. It was too dangerous to return until we could make sure you were prepared. Since you were probably not equipped to survive the junkyard, it is imperative that you never tell anyone your last name, that you push every red button you find, and that you keep this key in your shoe at all times. In the chest is a watch. Put it on and never take it off, ever. Not when you sleep, not when you bathe. This is our greatest gift to you. I'm sure you have many questions. Grandpa Jenkins will answer them. Our home has a tunnel to the junkyard through the back of the dishwasher. Use the key to open it. Captain Holliday will meet you at the exit at 12 noon the day after you read this note and escort you to Grandpa's steamboat. Take the black emergency pack from our closet. Inside is everything you will need. Good luck, son. We love you, Mom and Dad. And then there was a picture of his grandfather. So that was where we stopped. So he's got, this is nighttime or evening by the time he's realized he found the key, he opened the stuff, he found the thing in the door. He's got till noon to get through the tunnel and meet Captain Holliday. Jed backed away from the tunnel. His face was numb and his hands were slick with sweat. No matter how long he stared into the blackness, it didn't get any less black. He returned to the closet. The emergency bag was a hiking pack, stuffed so full the seams were nearly splitting at the zipper. Why would his parents possibly think he'd need such a pack, when they thought dental floss and a bag of apples were enough to cross the Sumatran freshwater swamps? He tugged at the zipper. Water bottles and batteries poured out and across the floor. He searched the pack and found only one other thing, a can opener in the side pocket. Jed shut his eyes. Fatigue ached behind his lids. None of this made sense. Bottles and batteries? Tunnels inside dishwashers? It was like a blurry dream. The sort of dream where wallpaper turned into nests of spiders or the sky swirled like a kaleidoscope. Sleep. I just need sleep. Things would make more sense in the morning, when he wasn't exhausted. Wouldn't they? In the morning, Jed sat at the kitchen table and stared into the dishwasher once again. The words from the letter played in his mind. Kidnapped, imprisoned, and killed. This darkness wasn't like the tight caves, cold mines, or thick forests he had been in before. It was something else. He grabbed a flashlight from the utility closet and waited by the dishwasher. The letter said 12 noon. But how long was the tunnel? At 10 o'clock, he couldn't wait any longer. Jed put the picture of his grandfather into his pocket, then shoved the pack into the tight space. Holding the flashlight with his teeth, he knelt and began to crawl. His knee bumped the dishwasher, and something dropped from the counter onto the floor. A lemon. Bright and happy, like his mother's smile. She would pick lemons fresh from their tree, then scratch the rind and breathe the scent. Jed picked up the lemon and brought it to his nose. Just be okay, please. He tucked the fruit into his pocket and continued to crawl. Inside, the tunnel widened until he was able to stand. He slung the pack around his shoulders. The iron key tucked into his shoe pressed uncomfortably against the side of his foot. No dripping water broke the silence. No scampering mice. No distant creaking. There was only the sound of his footfalls echoing against the walls. He walked for what felt like an hour when finally a pinprick of light glowed in the distance. Jed clicked off the flashlight and slowed. His breath felt tight. The closer he got, the more light illuminated the tunnel. He reached the end of the tunnel, but a fat tan barrel blocked his exit. A label on the side read, "Manufacturer affirms that this water heater complies with ASHRAE/IES 90.9221. A water heater. He pressed against it, but it didn't budge. A wedge of space underneath looked wide enough to crawl through. He shoved the emergency pack through the gap, then wormed his way past the heater into a tight pocket of space, surrounded by clutter. An old mattress to his left, a bookshelf to his right, and a broken ladder ahead. Sunlight trickled into the narrow space. A warm breeze drifted over him. The clutter formed a vertical tunnel ending in a circle of blue sky. He gripped the broken ladder with one hand and the pack with the other. Step by step, he pulled himself upward. Soap dispensers, garden tools, telephones, and bowling pins wrapped him in a narrow tube of junk. Jed expected smells of garbage, but this stuff wasn't exactly trash. True, most items were dented, cracked, or completely broken, but some were brand new. A white sneaker poked out from the heap. Its toe was stuffed with a cardboard insert. It hadn't yet been laced, and it had that leathery, plasticky, new shoe smell. When the ladder ended, Jed stepped on a plastic bin and grabbed a curtain rod above his head. He wedged his right foot between a tire and a cinder block, then pushed up. As he did, the emergency pack snagged on a broken fish tank. Ripping sounds cut through the air. His breath caught, and he froze. "Steady," he said to the pack. "Don't you tear open on me." He wiggled the pack back and forth until it pulled free. "Good job, pack. We've got to stick together, you and me. I need you." As Jed stepped on the arm of a recliner, the junk around him creaked and moaned. A grandfather clock shifted and fell into a coat rack. The coat rack crashed into a table. The table slipped onto a chair. "It's collapsing." He scrambled faster. Junk rattled and fell. Something cracked and the tunnel shook. Faster and faster he climbed, dodging pool balls and shards of glass that cascaded down the tunnel until he breached the surface, just as the junk crushed in on itself, sealing the tunnel. Jed stood atop a mountain made entirely from junk. Hundreds of miles of junk covered every inch of the world, as far as he could see. In front of him, the junk sloped downward to a cliff edge. Behind him, the junk piled so high into the clouds that Jed couldn't see its peak. The mountain spread endlessly to the left and just as far to the right. Sunlight reflecting off hunks of metal made the world sparkle. A chill trickled through him. For the first time in a long time, Jed was scared. His feet wobbled on the unsteady surface. Afraid to take a single step, he leaped over a desk, landed on the soft arm of a crooked couch, and slumped into a cushion. Before his breathing had time to steady, the grinding rattle of an overworked engine roared to life behind him. Chapter 5. A flying tugboat born of junk drifted closer. Its hull was a patchwork of copper and galvanized steel. Sunlight glinted off the polished sheets with a blinding glare. Rubber tires cinched the boat's belly like a belt. Rusty handrails rimmed the deck, and iron grates acted as windows. A plump smokestack, poking up from the top deck, coughed swollen puffs of gray soot. 3 propellers, each like a 50-foot machete, spun in a ghostly blur at the stern. The engine churned and clanked and rattled and whined. The ship slowed until it was nearly on top of Jed. Does it look like that, maybe? And you can see he's getting plucked from piles of junk down here. The door opened from the main bridge, and a man in a rust-colored trench coat stepped from the cabin. Angry slashes crisscrossed the coat's thick leather. The man clumped across the deck, scanning the junk. His heavy coat rocked back and forth as his boots thudded against the deck with purpose. Then he turned, and his eyes locked onto Jed's. The man's face had more scars than his coat. Some were thin and white, others rough and bumpy, like frayed bits of twine. One scar, as thick as a braid of rope, snarled from above his left ear to below the right side of his jaw. He moved toward the railing, eyes still on Jed. "Hoy there, boy," he called. "Shout us your name and medal." "My what?" Jed asked. "Name and medal, and be quick about it." "My medal? I don't know what that means." "Your fleet, boy. Are you dumb? What fleet medal do you hail under?" "I don't have a fleet. I don't know where I am. I was told to meet Captain Holliday at noon." He looked at the wristwatch, even though its hands still weren't moving. "Is this the right time?" "I'm Captain Murdoch Boggs," said the man. "We're filling in for Captain Holliday at the moment, seeing as he's dead." Another crew member marched next to the captain. He wore a fitted white shirt with sleeves that reached his fingertips. The shirt's buttons and cufflinks were a dull silver. He stood stiff and tall and moved like a toy soldier. His face was smooth and pale, ghostly and emotionless, with eyes the color of concrete. The captain continued. "Kaiser here says we're to pick up a short, scrawny boy carrying a backpack." "I don't see any backpack, but you are short and scrawny." "I do have a backpack." Jed reached down and lifted the pack. The rip in the pack's belly opened another inch, and a water bottle slipped out. "What do you have there?" the man asked as Jed picked up the bottle. "Just water bottles and batteries?" The two men shared a glance. "Where does a boy like you find a pack full of water and batteries, huh? You steal it from some tinker?" "I didn't steal anything." "Right," Captain Bogg muttered. The scars on his face tightened. "My parents left it for me." "Sure they did. So where are they, your parents?" "They're missing." "And they just left you that pack right before they up and went missing?" Captain Bogg leaned over the ship's railing and stared at him the way Jed's mother would when she knew he was lying. "If you keep spitting out lies, I'll turn right around and leave you where you stand." "I'm not lying." "Did you steal the pack or not?" "He looks like a thief," Kaiser said. Heat rushed to Jed's cheeks. "I'm not a thief." Captain Bogg nodded. "Skinny boy like that. Probably a stowaway. I'd bet a stack of batteries he filched trades from a tinker and jumped ship. Got himself stranded." Kaiser nodded back. Why else would he be sitting out by the fringe with nothing but batteries and water? Jed's skin boiled. Sure, he was a lot of unrespectable things. Reckless? Yup. Impulsive? Definitely. But a thief and a liar? The hot anger prickled at his throat. "Either you're here to pick me up or you're not," he said. "But I'm not going to stand around while some guy whose face looks like the bottom of a shoe call me a thief and a liar." Kaiser's jaw slackened. His gaze jerked toward the captain. Captain Boggs studied Jed. "The bottom of a shoe?" he said, scratching a thick scar on his chin. Probably not the best choice of words. This wasn't exactly the sort of place where he could hitch a ride home from a park ranger. Before Jed could recover with an apology, Captain Boggs spoke. "That may be the funniest thing I've heard in a week." Jed waited for him to smile, but he didn't smile. And he didn't glare. In fact, he didn't show any expression at all. No red-cheeked insecurity, no playful grin, no "I'm going to grind your skinny body to bits" scowl. After an uncomfortable silence, the captain turned to Kaiser. "Wasn't that funny, Kai?" Kaiser mumbled. "Oh, lighten up, Kai. It was funny." His face was still emotionless as a block of wood. He pointed to his cheek. "You can't get much uglier than the bottom of a shoe, can you?" He rested his elbows on the railing. "You're a funny kid. Now stop lazing about and climb aboard." He waved his arm, and someone tossed a coiled rope ladder over the edge. It unrolled and snapped into place near Jed. "Oh," Captain Bogg added, "and if you ever say something like that again, I'll strap you to the propellers and run the ship full throttle. Got it?" Jed touched the rope in front of him. Miss Murdoch Bogg had said that Captain Holliday was dead. What if I'm not supposed to get on this ship? "Are you coming or not?" Captain Bogg called. "Makes no difference to me, so decide, and be quick about it." The ladder swayed back and forth. He glanced back, searching for the collapsed hole from where he'd crawled. "So be it," the captain said. "Sprocket, take us about." "Aye, Captain." a woman called from the deck. Her voice was sharp and high and sarcastic all at once. The engine groaned, and the scent of burning oil filled the air. The hull creaked and began to turn, pulling the rope ladder along with it. "Wait!" Jed shouted. Captain Boggs shook his head. "I've got a rendezvous to make and a dig site to reach. I'm not in a waiting mood. You want on? Get on." Jed waited for the ship to pause so he could do just that. But it didn't. "All ahead full!" Captain Boggs shouted. "All ahead full!" Sprocket repeated. "No!" Jed snatched up the backpack and leaped from the couch. He swiped for the ladder, but his fingers only knocked it away. "Stop!" He leaped and reached again, but the ladder was even farther away. Jed bounded forward, barely watching the junk underfoot as he barreled toward the ship, toward the sharp cliff edge in front of him. Jed swung the pack strap onto one shoulder and bolted. His feet battled with spongy pillows, wobbly dresser drawers, and a pile of scattered golf clubs. He swiped the air again, but the ladder was too high. "I can't reach it." "Probably because you're short and scrawny," Captain Boggs called back. "I bet right now you'd rather have a face like mine and a few more inches on your legs than pretty cheeks and those thin twigs." The ladder dangled tauntingly. The tunnel to home was gone. This was his only hope. Jed searched the piles, then scooped up an iron. He looped the power cord around his wrist. With a burst of speed, he sprung onto an upright refrigerator, then chucked the iron at the rope ladder. The iron tumbled into the air and flew between two of the rungs. The ship jerked his body from the refrigerator, and something popped in his wrist. He gripped the cord and flailed in the air. "Stop!" he yelled mid-swing. A face poked over the railing. "How many times do I have to tell you? We're not going to laze around waiting for you. You want up? Start climbing." Jed had climbed more mountains than he could name, but the slick plastic power cord strangled his wrist, and the backpack full of water weighted him down. He flexed, but his body barely raised an inch. He tried again, but the pack was too heavy, and his wrist was too weak. Something above snapped, and his body dropped an inch. The rubber sheath around the iron's cord stretched. The sudden jerk opened the rip in the pack another few inches, and bottles tumbled to the junk below. "I need help," he shouted. "Please, I'm going to fall. I'll be cut to pieces." "Well, then I won't be the only one with a face that looks like the bottom of a shoe, now will I?" The cord was like a noose around his wrist. His knuckles deepened into a bloated purple. A second snap sounded, and the cord pulled another inch from the iron. The weight was too much. It was only a matter of time before the cord broke altogether. Jed searched the junk below, but they'd flown so high that even the luckiest clump of pillows wouldn't save his life. His arms shook. He lifted the pack strap to his shoulder, then reached back and yanked a flap of fabric in the tear to relieve some weight. The backpack split open. Bottles and batteries tumbled free. "Now get on that ship," he told himself. But it was too late. The cord creaked again, and Jed knew it was about to snap. Then the ladder began to rise. "Heave, men!" Captain Boggs grunted. "Heave!" Jed rose higher and higher. "That's it, men. Let's pull him in." A swarm of arms gripped Jed's face, legs, and shirt. They lifted him over the railing and dumped him on the deck. His face hit hard, and he rolled on his side. He massaged his wrist, and the color in his hand returned to normal. The deck was a metal collage of steel and copper planks, all riveted together. Kaiser loomed over him, amusement tugging at his lips. "Help, help, pull me in. I can't climb a ladder. I'm going to be cut to bits." "Can you stand up by yourself, or do you need help with that too?" Jed shot him a barbed look. "All right, Kaiser," Captain Boggs said. "Leave the boy alone. Poor thing can't even climb a ladder." Jed stumbled to his feet. "I can climb a stupid ladder. I climbed Mount McKinley in the middle of January." Kaiser snorted. "Is that supposed to mean something? I've never even heard of a junk hill called McKinley." Jed straightened his shirt. "Did I say it was a junk hill? No, I said it was a mountain." "Settle down there, little tyke," Captain Boggs interjected. "No need to get worked up. I'm sure you're a world-class climber." Jed clamped his teeth together and glared at the deck. Kaiser picked up the empty pack. "Nothing in it. Guess he's no thief after all, only a liar." Captain Boggs stood over Jed. Now how about telling us your name and metal? My name's Jed, but I don't know what you mean about metal. Iron, copper, or rust? It's not a tough question. The tugboat seemed to have each of those metals: iron grates, copper planks, and rust covering the edges of them all. He gave the captain his best puzzled look. Stop acting all timid-like. We'd only throw you overboard for one metal, and we both know which one. But I don't. Stop blubbering and just tell us. I'm giving you a one-fingered countdown before I toss you over. I don't know. Captain Bogg held up a closed fist. Kaiser had iron buttons, iron cufflinks, and iron boot buckles. The captain's coat looked like some mix of rust and mud, and at least half of everything else on the boat was copper. I'm whatever metal's not going to get me thrown off. The captain shook his head and lifted his index finger. I don't know. One. The captain began to lower the finger. Rust isn't even a metal, Jed said. The captain smirked and the finger paused. That's certainly true. But before Jed could hope he'd said something right, Captain Bogg continued, lowering the finger. Gold! I'm gold! Jed waited. Captain Bogg's finger froze, curled at its tip as if itching to drop. Gold, Jed repeated. It's a metal. Captain Bogg's face broke into a genuine grin, and he barked 2 hearty laughs. Gold is a metal. I'll give you that. He half nodded, half shook his head. Gold it is. He extended his hand and helped Jed to his feet. He laughed once more, but the emotion was gone. Looks like we got ourselves a little golden boy, eh, Kai? Kaiser smirked. Come meet the helmsman, golden boy, the captain said. Sprocket, this is golden boy. Golden boy, this is... Helmsman? The sharp voice cut the air like a dagger. A slender woman, arms folded across her chest, sashayed into view. Her body swished like an alley cat. Copper-rimmed goggles hung loose around her neck. She wore a black trench coat with too many copper buttons. It fit snugly over a rust-red top and black pin-striped pants. Leather straps with buckles cinched around her legs and torso like dozens of little belts. Each housed a different weapon. Pistols with intricate gearwork and miniature scopes, slick knives, and canisters with faded letters spelling flammable gas. 2 loose belts crossed over each other, slouching more on her thighs than on her waist. Bullet-like batteries lined the belts. Captain Bogg rolled his eyes. Helmswoman, he amended. Sprocket nodded, then leaned against the railing. A rifle rocked in its harness on her back. It was unlike any gun Jed had ever seen. At least as tall as him, probably taller, with a double barrel made from twin copper pipes, gears and pistons in a dull copper frame, and a leather grip. Shafts and rods ran parallel to the main barrels, and levers protruded here and there. Sprocket's the ship navigator, map maker, and strong arm, the captain explained. Keeps watch in the stack nest. He jutted his chin toward the lookout perch bolted atop one of the steam stacks. She and Kaiser man the helm. I do what? Sprocket asked. Oh, settle down. It's a phrase, okay? I've never heard anyone who says she womans the helm. Have you? Sprocket shrugged. Wouldn't hurt you to start, would it? The captain turned to Jed. She's a bit frosty with strangers aboard. Can't say I blame her, especially strangers claiming to be gold. And just so you know, she was a copper javelin, in case you get any rabble-rousing ideas. What's a copper javelin? Jed asked. Sprocket smiled. Means I don't even need this shatter lance to be dangerous. She pulled a lever on her rifle, and it made a pneumatic hiss. Means I could storm a dreadnought in the belly of the fog with a half-depleted shatterbox. She tapped the hilt of one of her pistols. That doesn't even shoot straight. Means I could... Okay, I get it, Jed said. Well, sort of. I don't exactly understand half of what you said, but I get the point. You're tough. Arms still folded, Sprocket stepped closer. Where'd you say you port from? Port from? Jed asked. I guess I'm from Denver. Denver? Yeah? I've never heard of that place, and I've heard of every place. What township cluster? It's in Colorado, if that's what you mean. Sprocket looked at the captain. He shrugged. Under which sovereignty? Sprocket asked. The United States? The captain and Sprocket shared another glance. What metal is the United States? The metal thing again? Really? The captain squared his gaze to Jed's. We're not partial to strangers, so how about some answers? I'm trying, but I don't know what's going on. I don't even know where I am. I took a tunnel underneath this junk and ended up here. My grandfather's supposed to tell me what's going on, but that's all I know. A tunnel? Under the fringe? I don't know what that is. The fringe, the border hills, the sky stacks, the yard end. Pick one. Jed remembered the towering junk that reached into the sky near the tunnel. The mountains? Captain Bogg nodded. Is Denver beyond the mountains? Jed's eyes lit up. Yes, the mountains. The Rocky Mountains. Denver's in the mountains. It made a little sense. Not a lot, but it was something. Silence filled the deck, leaving only the sound of chugging pistons and whirling propellers. Let's take a walk, the captain said, turning around. Kaiser, you're with me. Sprocket, take the helm. Kaiser grabbed Jed by the elbow and pulled him toward a square hole in the deck where stairs led to the lower levels. All right, I'm going to stop there, my friends. We've got a good 20-minute chunk in. I am going to be recording several of these reading sessions a week because it's a long book and we're getting through 3 chapters at a time or 2 chapters at a time, and it's going to take us a while to get through. So I will be doing 2 or 3 chapters. I set my timer. We kind of read for 20 or 25 minutes, and then I'll post them, and you guys can just go to the YouTube channel, and they'll be on the I made a 4th grade playlist, and they will be listed in 4th grade, and I'll tell the chapters, and they should go right in order. So if you need to binge listen or you have to miss a few, then you can get caught up and you can always go find it there. So I will see you again soon with more chapters from Jed and the Junkyard Wars.